You stand over a 5-gallon bucket of ice water at 4 a.m. You peel the translucent skins off 300 individual chickpeas with a pair of offset tweezers. By the time you own the most influential restaurant in the West Village, you will not have eaten a meal sitting down in 15 years. The kitchen operates as a closed-loop caloric extraction system. The ambition of the youth is the primary fuel source for the prestige of the elite. You arrive at the service entrance of a Michelin-starred kitchen in Chicago at 5 a.m. You set your leather knife roll on a stainless steel table. You spend 12 hours picking the stems off 4 pounds of microherbs. You do not speak unless a senior cook addresses you. Is this the cost of a seat at the table? The Department of Labor's fact sheet, number 71, establishes the primary beneficiary test for unpaid internships in the private sector. You provide 70 hours of labor this week for $0. You scrub the grout of the floor tiles with a toothbrush after the 1 a.m. close. You receive a signature on a culinary school credit form. You walk to the L train station in the dark. You tell yourself that the callus on your thumb is a badge of entry into a secret society that the people in the dining room will never understand. You move from the prep basement to the line. You earn $17.50 an hour in a city where a studio apartment costs $2,400. The 2025 Bureau of Labor Statistics report lists the median annual wage for restaurant cooks at $38,200. Entry-level line cooks in New York City work overtime hours classified as voluntary. You manage the garnish station. You repeat the word chef every time an order hits the printer. You burn your forearm on the oven door. You cover the blister with yellow mustard and plastic wrap. You keep working. You drink a quart container of lukewarm tap water behind the reach-in cooler. You finish the shift by breaking down the station. You label every container with blue tape. You tell yourself that the physical pain is just the sound of your old, mediocre life leaving your body. You arrive the next morning to take over the fish station. You take delivery of a $1,200 shipment of Japanese hamachi. You calculate the yield on the belly cuts with a digital scale. 2 commies stand to your left. They peel the translucent skins off 300 chickpeas. Fine dining food costs in 2026 average 28% to 35% of total revenue. High-end protein waste on one plate negates the profit margin of a 4-top tasting menu. During the rush, a scallop returns from the dining room with a pale sear. You throw the copper sauté pan into the dish pit. You do not apologize. You stay after service to rewrite the prep list. You write the orders on a piece of blue painter's tape. You tell yourself that your anger is not a loss of control, but a necessary tool for maintaining the integrity of the plate. You drink a shot of Fernet in the alleyway while staring at the dumpsters. You step into the pass as the junior sous chef. You receive a salary of $55,000. You no longer have a station. You stand at the pass. You check the internal temperature of every glazed protein with a laser thermometer. You send a plate back because a microgreen is wilted. Is the view from the pass worth the skin you lost on the mandolin? You listen to the chef de cuisine scream at a stagiaire. You step in to finish the sentence. Salaried sous chefs in the United States often work 70 hours per week. This labor structure results in an effective hourly rate lower than the minimum wage in New York or California. You coordinate the timing between the front-of-house captains and the kitchen line. You go home and stare at the ceiling for 2 hours before the morning deliveries arrive. You tell yourself that the system only works if someone is willing to be the monster that keeps the gears turning. You handle the hiring and firing as the sous chef. A talented line cook asks for a cost of living adjustment. You tell them the prestige of the logo on their chest is their real compensation. You monitor a koji-cured venison project that requires 42 days of climate-controlled aging. Your mother texts about your sister's wedding in September. You do not open the message. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reports hospitality turnover rates consistently above 70%. You reconcile the inventory sheets with the monthly P&L statement. The cost to train a single fine dining replacement is $4,000. You find a bottle of vintage Bordeaux left open on the granite counter after a tasting. You pour the liquid into the floor drain while the morning crew watches. You tell yourself that personal relationships are a distraction from the pursuit of a 3rd Michelin star. You check the digital temperature logs for the walk-in compressor. You wait for the chef de cuisine to arrive for the morning briefing. You earn $95,000. You stand at the pass and speak to a lifestyle journalist from the New York Times. You recount the story of the chickpeas and the tweezers. You do not mention the name of the stagiaire who peeled them for 16 hours. You scroll through labor cost percentages on a tablet. You reduce the cleaning crew's scheduled hours by 12% to meet the quarterly labor target. You enter the dining room for 5 minutes. You shake hands with a regular at table 4. You return to the kitchen. You find a single hair on the floor near the dish pit. You fire the porter on the spot. The 2026 Michelin Guide criteria prioritize consistency across multiple, unannounced visits. Industry fiscal reports link the loss of a star to a 20% decline in annual revenue. You check the digital reservation log for tomorrow. You adjust the knot on your apron. You sit in a business-class seat on a flight to Miami. You open a leather folder containing floor plans for a second location in the design district. You do not carry a knife roll. You sign a contract for a 3-book deal. You approve the label design for a line of frozen sauces destined for luxury grocery chains. You read a report on 2026 licensing agreements for American culinary brands averaging 3 to 10% of gross retail sales. You sign an endorsement contract for a cookware line valued at $2.2 million. You look through the tinted window of a black sedan at a billboard in Times Square. Your face is 3 stories tall. You look at the digital rendering of the Miami dining room. You receive a James Beard Award for Outstanding Chef. You place the medal in the back of a mahogany desk drawer. You turn off your phone. You sit in an office in a glass building. You open a spreadsheet on a 32-inch monitor. The document shows the labor costs for 4 different restaurant locations. You scroll past the line item for unpaid stagiaires. Private equity investment in the fine dining sector has increased by 15% over the last 3 fiscal years, according to the 2026 Hospitality Finance Report. You approve the quarterly budget. You look at a digital photo of a glazed duck breast from the New York flagship. You do not know the name of the cook who plated it. You do not know the name of the sous chef who checked the temperature. A notification appears on the tablet. A new stagiaire has arrived for the morning shift. You look at the digital clock on the wall. You wait for the elevator. You walk to your car. A young man enters the service entrance of the flagship restaurant in Manhattan. He carries a leather knife roll and a clean white apron. Is this the cost of a name? He stops at the security desk and shows his internship papers. He looks at the stainless steel surfaces and the red heat lamps. You stand in the parking garage and press the button on your key fob. The headlights of the black sedan flash twice. The young man begins peeling onions in the basement. You drive toward the bridge. The kitchen requires a constant supply of new hands to keep the old names alive.